Get ready. Start. When I was asked to participate in this afternoon function, I readily accepted the invitation. Not that I know much about the association, but then I felt there was a call which I could not very well refuse. I was asked to unveil the portrait of Sri V.T. Krishnamachari. I have been working with him for the last few years in one capacity or another. He has given of his best to the service of the country in various capacities, and even today, at an advanced age, he not only maintains his great interest in work but applies himself in a most assiduous manner to every detail of his job. At the present moment, he is dealing with planning the work of a most exacting nature. One needs to talk to him for only a few minutes to find out how he keeps his grip on every detail of the various plans which are being now worked out either in the Secretariat of the Government of India or of the various states. From his present method of work, one can imagine what he must have done when he was very much younger and when he was entrusted with the administration of one or the other Indian state or of the districts in India. We wish Mr. Krishnamachari many years of useful service to the country and to the cause to which he has dedicated himself. It is also a matter of pleasure to me that you have asked me to lay the foundation stone of a block for the hostel of the Indian Officers Association, where many boys of the future will have the opportunity not only of studying but also of coming in contact with those who are actually engaged in the administration of this country. When the members of the Constituent Assembly were engaged in drawing up our constitution and in the process were faced with many problems. One of the most important of them was which of the constitutions of the world to adopt as their model. It was not without a great deal of thought and deliberation that they decided in favor of the British Constitution. One of the most important features of this constitution is that there is a separation of function of those who lay down the policy and those who are responsible for executing it. This feature has been adopted in our constitution and it forms the basis for the division of work between our ministers and the civil servants. Ministers may change, but the civil servants remain at their posts to carry out the policy of the government. It is therefore a matter of great pleasure that the services do understand this position. The ministers, being new to their work, may sometimes make mistakes, and it is for the civil servants to advise them correctly so that the mistakes which may arise out of inexperience may not be perpetuated to the detriment of the country. When power was transferred to us, there might have been some people who doubted our capacity to maintain the administration. Such persons suspected that we might also have a repetition of scenes which were enacted in similar circumstances in many other lands. One of the great things which the British did for us was to give us a well knit, well organized, and well experienced body of civil servants who were spread all over the country and who, in the absence of everything else for the time being, were holding the country together. I do not exaggerate when I say that I greatly appreciate the help and assistance rendered by the services in the difficult days of 1947 when we had tremendous exodus of people from one part of the country to another. I do not know where we would have found ourselves if the services had failed us on that occasion, not only in the Punjab but in other parts of the country as well. The transfer of power from British to Indian hands was effected smoothly. Even in the most distant villages, the authority of the government remained firm, and the peace and tranquility of the land was preserved by the efficient system of administration left behind by the British. We have therefore every reason to be grateful to the services, but it is now time that they render even greater service than was done by them in the past. Times have changed, our ideals have changed. What we propose to do now is somewhat different from what they have been doing so far. In the present period, which may be called a period of transition or resurrection, we have to depend even more on the services for a great deal which we wish to achieve. For as Mr. Meenan pointed out just now, formerly our government was more or less a police state. Now it is gradually on the road to becoming a welfare state. Our services were primarily concerned with the collection of revenue and maintenance of law and order. My dear Chanda, when my wife and I were in Santiniketan last January, I mentioned to Gurudev the possibility of my daughter Indira joining Santiniketan. Since then, I have not had the chance of meeting Indira. She has now just come from Bombay after appearing for the matriculation examination there, and I hope to see her soon. We have now to decide about her future education. We have no desire whatever to send her to the official universities. I dislike them greatly. I had intended sending her to Europe, probably Switzerland, but events have a way of taking the initiative out of our hands, and for the last many years we have lived in many ways a hand to mouth existence, finding it difficult to plan out the future. My repeated and frequent visits to prison disturb domestic arrangements. There is much to be said for this, of course, as it prevents our falling into grooves. The result of all this is that we get along merrily from day to day, not knowing what the narrow will bring. So far as Indira's education is concerned, there is no chance of her going to Europe in the near future. For the present, therefore, arrangements have to be made for a year or so at least, and perhaps for more. And I should like her to go to Santiniketan. I shall discuss this with her when I see her, for of course decisions must not be imposed on the modern girl. I should like to tell me what steps I have to take, what formalities to go through to have her join Santiniketan. When does your next term begin? Is that the commencement of the academic year? I presume she will join the university section. My wife is undergoing treatment at Seva Sadan as before, and she will be unable to go to Santiniketan, but you are still here, and Indira might go accompanied by her teacher. Please send your reply to my wife, who will forward it on to me. Have you managed to get on with your younger brother. Is he doing fairly well? Yours sincerely. Stop.